Welcome back to the video on Chapter 10, Motivating and Satisfying Employees. This chapter focuses on how to motivate people. We will examine some historical perspectives, but also we will examine current and contemporary views of managers on how to motivate employees, and finally, some techniques for motivating employees. Managers who understand the needs of their employees can help them reach higher levels of productivity and thus contribute to the achievement of organizational goals.
What is motivation? Motivation can be defined as the individual internal process that energizes, directs, and sustains behavior. The personal force that causes us to behave in a particular way.
While we spend a considerable amount of time discussing motivation, morale is very important. We define morale as an employee's attitude toward his or her job, employers, and colleagues. High morale contributes to high levels of productivity, high returns to stakeholders, and employee loyalty.
There are a diverse array of methods designed to improve the quality of employees' lives and increase their morale and motivation at work. Here we organize these methods in three big parts. Historical perspectives include scientific management, needs-based theories, motivation hygiene, theory X, Y, and Z, reinforcement theory, and if we look at contemporary theories, we have equity theory, expectancy theory, and goal setting. And lastly, of these theories, we have different techniques such as management by objectives, job enrichment, job enlargement, job redesign, flex time, and the other ones that are shown here. As we go along in the slides, we'll explain more these different ideas. The birth of the study of human relations can be traced to time and motion studies conducted at the turn of the century by Frederick W. Taylor, among others. Their studies analyzed how workers perform specific work tasks in an effort to improve the employee's productivity. These efforts led to the application of scientific principles to management. To improve productivity, Taylor thought that managers should 1. Break down each job into its component tasks or specializations. 2. Determine the best way to perform each task, and specify the output to be achieved by a worker performing the task. According to the scientific management approach, money is the sole motivator for workers. Taylor suggested that workers who were paid more produce more, an idea that would benefit both companies and workers. Thus, Taylor believed that incentives would motivate employees to be more productive. So he suggested that managers link workers' pay directly to their output. He developed the piece rate system, under which employees were paid a certain amount for each unit they produced. Those who exceeded their quota were paid a higher rate per unit for all of the units they produced. In this example, worker A did not reach his quota of 60. Therefore, he is paid $6 per hour. Worker B reached his quota, so he gets paid a higher rate of $10.20 per hour. We can see Taylor's ideas in practice today in the use of financial incentives for productivity. But one question remains here. Is anyone happy? A century ago, most businesses weren't overly concerned about employee satisfaction. This is not the case today. Why do you think attitudes about employee motivation and satisfaction have changed? Leave your comments below. In the 1920s, Elton Mayo and researchers from Harvard were studying how physical conditions in the workplace impacted productivity. Specifically, they were looking at noise levels and lighting conditions at the Weston Electric Hawthorne plant. What they discovered is that regardless of how much or little light there was, productivity seemed to increase when light was varied. They concluded that the attention that was being paid to these employees by the researchers and managers was what led to increased productivity. This is known as the Hawthorne effect, or when managers pay attention to people, better morale and productivity ensue. This marks one of the beginnings of modern human relations movement in the study of motivation.
Another important foundational work was done by psychologist Abraham Maslow. He theorized that people have 5 basic needs: physiological, safety, love of belonging, esteem, and finally self-actualization. Maslow's hierarchy arranges these needs into the order in which people strive to satisfy them, forming a pyramid.
Now let's dive deeper into the pyramid proposed by Maslow. Physiological needs, the most basic and the first needs to be satisfied, are the essentials for living. These include water, food, shelter, and clothing. According to Maslow, humans devote all their efforts to satisfying physiological needs until they are met. Only when these needs are met can people focus their attention on satisfying the next level of needs, which is security. Security needs relate to protecting yourself from physical and economic harm. Actions that may be taken to achieve security include reporting a dangerous workplace condition to management, maintaining safe equipment, and purchasing insurance with income protection in the event that you become unable to work. Once security needs have been satisfied, people may strive for social goals. This is the next step up on the hierarchy of Maslow's pyramid. Social needs are the need for love, companionship, and friendship, the desire for acceptance by others. To fulfill social needs, a person may try many things, including making friends with co-workers, joining a group, volunteering at a hospital, or throwing a party. Once their social needs have been satisfied, people attempt to satisfy the next step up in the hierarchy, which is that for self-esteem. Esteem or self-esteem relates to respect or self-respect and respect from others. One aspect of esteem needs is competition, the need to feel that you can do something better than anyone else. Competition often motivates people to increase their productivity. Esteem needs are not as easily satisfied as needs at the lower levels in Maslow's hierarchy because they don't always provide tangible evidence of success. And when they feel they have achieved some measure of respect, self-actualization becomes a major goal of life. Self-actualization, or the last level of Maslow's pyramid, is at the top of the hierarchy, and it's being the best you can be. Self-actualization involves maximizing your potential. A self-actualized person feels that he or she is living life to the fullest in every way. Maslow had important implications with this theory, but it has been widely criticized. What has been one of the critiques to his theory? Please search this online and leave your comments below with the sources of the information. In the 1950s, psychologist Frederick Herzberg proposed a theory of motivation that focuses on the job and on the environment where work is done. Hygiene factors, which relate to the work setting and not the content of the work, include adequate wages, comfortable and safe working conditions, fair company policies, and job security. These factors do not necessarily motivate employees to excel, but their absence may be a potential source of dissatisfaction and high turnover. Employee safety and comfort are clearly hygiene factors. Motivational factors, on the other hand, relate to the content of the work itself and include achievement, recognition, involvement, responsibility, and advancement. The absence of motivational factors may not result in dissatisfaction, but their presence is most likely to motivate employees to excel. Many companies are beginning to employ methods to give employees more responsibility and control, and also to involve them more in their work, which serves to motivate them to higher levels of productivity and quality.
Douglas McGregor related Maslow's ideas about personal needs to management. He contrasted two opposite views of management, Theory X and Theory Y. Theory X style of management focuses on physiological and security needs and virtually ignores the higher needs discussed by Maslow. On the other hand, Theory Y is a concept of employee motivation generally consistent with the ideas of the human relations movement.
According to McGregor, managers adopting Theory X assume that workers generally dislike work and must be first to do their job. This requires careful and constant supervision and a lack of trust by managers of their employees. Such managers believe that the average person naturally dislikes work and will avoid it when possible. Also, they believe that most workers must be coerced, controlled, directed, or threatened with punishment to get them to work towards the achievement of organizational objectives. Theory X managers think that the average worker prefers to be directed and to avoid responsibility, and also has relatively little ambition while wanting security. In contrast, McGregor described Theory Y managers as very different from that of Theory X. Theory Y managers believe that people do not naturally dislike work. In fact, the work is an important part of their life, and people will work towards goals to which they are committed. People become committed to goals when it is clear that accomplishing the goal will bring personal rewards. People also often seek out and are willing to accept responsibility. So the Theory Y managers also believe that employees have the potential to help accomplish organizational goals, and that organizations generally do not make full use of their human resources.
A final theory from a historical perspective is reinforcement theory. Reinforcement theory is based on the premise that behavior that is rewarded is likely to be repeated, whereas behavior that is punished is less likely to recur. A reinforcement is an action that follows directly from a particular behavior. It might be a pay raise after a particular large sale to a new customer, or a reprimand for coming to work late.
There are 4 types of reinforcements: positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, punishments, and extinction. An example of positive reinforcement is praise given by the boss, which many employees respond well to. Recognition from one's supervisor for a job well done increases and strengthens the willingness to perform well in the future. Negative reinforcement, on the other hand, occurs when a certain stimulus, usually negative stimulus, is removed after particular positive behavior is exhibited. For instance, Nancy does a better report in order to stop her boss from nagging her. A punishment is defined as an undesired consequence of undesirable behavior. Common forms of punishment used in organizations include reprimands, reduced pay, disciplinary layoffs, and termination or firing. Punishment often does more harm than good. And finally, managers who rely on extinction hope to eliminate undesirable behavior by not responding to it. The effectiveness of reinforcement depends on which type is used and how it is timed.
So now, some contemporary views on motivation.
According to equity theory, how much people are willing to contribute to an organization depends on their assessment of the fairness or equity of the rewards they will receive in exchange. In a fair situation, a person receives rewards proportional to the contribution he or she makes to the organization. However, in practice, equity is a subjective notion. Because almost all of the issues involved in equity theory are subjective, they can be challenging. There are 3 types of justice: distributive, procedural, and interactional. Distributive justice is the degree to which the outcomes received from the organization are perceived to be fair. Procedural justice is the degree to which fair decision-making procedures are used to arrive at a decision. And lastly, interactional justice is the degree to which people are treated with respect, kindness, and dignity in interpersonal interactions. Psychologist Victor Vroom described expectancy theory. This theory states that motivation depends not only on how much a person wants something, but also on the person's perception of how likely he or she is to get it. He also suggested that how important the objective is for the person will also influence the level of motivation. A person who wants something and has reason to be optimistic will be strongly motivated. In contrast, if you do not believe that you're likely to get what you want, you may not be motivated to try to get it, even though you really want it. Managers should be transparent with employees about opportunities for advancement. According to expectancy theory, your motivation depends not only on how much you want something, but also how likely you are to obtain that thing. Goal-setting theory refers to the impact that setting goals has on performance. According to this philosophy, goals act as motivators to focus employee efforts on achieving certain performance outcomes. Setting goals can positively affect performance because goals help employees direct their efforts and attention towards the outcome, mobilize their efforts, and develop consistent behavior patterns. It also creates strategies to obtain desired outcomes.
To work as motivational drivers, goals need to be very specific, moderately difficult, and also one that the employee will be committed to achieve. Finally, rewards should be tied directly to goal achievement.
In this slide, we will be discussing various more modern techniques that companies use to motivate their employees at work. Some of the best companies to work for right now offer on-site daycare, concierge services such as dry cleaning, shoe repair, and prescription renewal, and also equal rights and benefits to both married and unmarried partners. They also offer fully paid sabbaticals. Other examples include FlexTime, which provides many benefits including improved ability to recruit and retain workers who wish to balance work and home life. More flexible schedules are associated with healthier lifestyle choices such as increased physical activity and healthier sleep habits. Job sharing occurs when two people do one job. One person may work from 8 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., and then the second person comes in at 12:30 p.m. and works until 5 p.m. Job sharing gives both people the opportunity to work as well as time to fulfill the obligations such as parenting or school. In conclusion, motivation is more than just a tool that managers can use to foster employee loyalty and boost productivity. It is a process that affects all of the relations within an organization and influences many areas such as pay, promotion, job design, training opportunities, and reporting relationships. Employees are motivated by the nature of the relationships they have with their supervisor, by the nature of their job, and by characteristics of the organization. As a manager, it is up to you to come up with a different and creative ways to motivate your employees.
This is it for Chapter 10. Thank you for watching and for sharing your comments as always. See you in the classroom, everybody.